Cheers. Welcome to Culture Night,
where each week we're drinking fancy wine and watch movies that are in some way culturally significant. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sarah, and we are back for Season 6, Episode 7.
Mm-hmm. The longest season, slowly marching on.
There ever was. But that's
Might not seem as long to those watching. It's been a long gap since the season premiered from the previous one, but we're on, month 6 of this season?
If not rolling into 7. We've been real busy.
We're going to try to get through it as fast as we can. Not rushing the episodes too much, but we're going to commit to doing these.
And getting it done.
Yes, and getting through it. So, with that.
What are we drinking tonight?
This week we are drinking the 2019 James Gang Reserve Petit Verdot.
From Tobin James. We did get a fresh shipment, I think since the last time we recorded this. Oh, and this smells divine.
Fortunately, we've waited so long into the season. Seasonal allergies are absolutely killing me. So we'll see how well I can taste this one. I can smell it, actually.
Compared with the last episode, I am significantly better than I was last time. Hold on. On the nose, I get some jammy cherry, maybe tart, dark cherry, real summer freshness.
It's definitely how it tastes. It's really quite pleasant. Not too alcohol forward, not too sour or anything.
I love this.
This is very good. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I can never remember whether I really love the Petit Verdots from James Gang or from Tobin James, or if we love them in other cases and we haven't had good experiences with them. But all I can say is right now, this is fantastic.
So far delightful. We will give you our thoughts as always after the show.
So I think now it is time to jump into our Slept On It segment, where we go back and look over the movie that we watched last time, which was Lost in Space from 1998. Does your rating change after sleeping on it? You rated it a 2.7 and I rated it a 4.1.
I think I'll bump mine up slightly to maybe a 3.1, just because learning more about the fact that this was a remake and that there was a lot of history, they were paying tribute to a lot of or to the previous iterations of the movie, makes it a little more culturally significant to me. Doesn't really affect my rewatchability or quotability or anything else. So we'll call it a flat 3.
All right. I respect that. I'm going to keep my 4.1 because if you watched last week's episode, this movie is just near and dear to my heart in my childhood. I watched it a ton when I was little, so obviously rewatchable and quotable for me. And I also just feel culturally, it was a pretty big cast of people. Gary Oldman, Matt LeBlanc, Lacey Chamber. I can never remember how to say her last name, but just lots of people who have gone on to do a lot of things. And so I feel it kind of has that little, and like you said, based on something too.
Matt LeBlanc was very much in the zeitgeist at the time.
Mr. It Man for sure.
And Gary Oldman has just been doing amazing work this whole time. So solid cast. I don't really know where they went wrong with the movie to make it not as big of a movie, not as loved by the masses. But yeah, I'm just still sticking with the 3 there.
Yeah. All right. So are you ready to jump into some fact snacks?
Sure am.
There we go. All right. So time for some fact snacks and behind the scenes information. So my first fact snack is that all of the main cast were contracted for 3 films when they signed on, because they were anticipating, based off of the series, it being this really big comeback, I guess almost like a Star Wars, Star Trek,
the trilogy,
just trying to really capitalize on the space interest. And I guess kind of similar to Star Trek, being based off of a show, bringing it back. Also, we've already mentioned, Matt LeBlanc, Gary Oldman, having these big names, they're we'll just lock onto them.
What if they were trying to capture the time travel aspect of it, the Back to the Future trilogy? It was not too much before this.
Maybe. Yeah, but as you may know, that did not pan out, and they did not film any more than just this first one, but they were supposed to be contracted for 3 films. As you were talking about, Matt LeBlanc was really in the zeitgeist at the time, and he was actually still shooting Friends at the exact same time that he was shooting this movie. So multiple times a week, he would fly back and forth across the country to film. Or I don't know if it was across the country, I'm not sure exactly. But he would fly from location to location so that he could be filming Friends while he was filming this movie.
Explains a lot of why Joey is the way that he is.
I don't think enough can explain how Joey is the way that he is.
He's a big actor.
And then also just on that same note of Friends is that Gary Oldman would later appear as a guest star on Friends. He is in season 7 in the episodes around Monica and Chandler's wedding. He is an actor with Joey, and so they work together. They might not have made more than one Lost in Space film, but they did work together.
Interesting. I don't remember him being in that, but
they're the ones that spit at each other.
Okay.
Okay. I tried. All right. And then Gary Oldman also was actually the first person to sign on for the film because he wanted to do something that was more family friendly that he could take his son to. So he was like very anxious to be a part of this and just like, I guess, make more family friendly things. Mm-hmm. And speaking of casting, like we've said, this is based off of a TV series that started in 1965. And they tried, the plan at the time was to bring back everybody who is still living from the original cast and have some kind of cameo appearance star in this. And a lot of them did. The voice of the robot was actually the same person in both movies. The original Major West plays General June Lockhart. I can't really remember who these characters are off the top of my head, but the original Maureen Robinson plays the principal. Two of the sisters play reporters. So they had a lot of people come back. And then two of the main actors who were like most excited and who had first like endorsed the idea of a remake film just ended up not being in it, whether it was like the role they asked them for just didn't end up working out, or there was some competing information of what actually happened there. But they did try to get all the original cast back in, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it was like you have a great cast. You're trying to capitalize on some like the nostalgia factor, like an already built out fan base. And I guess at the end of the day, if it's just not a good movie, it's not going to be successful.
Exactly. And then again, one more fun fact from the original show is that it was set in the future at the time in 1997. And that is when the movie started filming. So there was almost like, I feel like we've talked a lot, like if Back to the Future were to take place now, it would be this. And just like they were actually filming this movie when it was supposed to be taking place in the show, which I thought was kind of a fun fact. And then my last fact snack is that the actor who played the adult Will Robinson, when they go in the like weird time bubble, he was actually played by an English actor, Jared Harris, and that a lot of his lines are supposedly dubbed over to sound more American because he was too British, which I thought was kind of an interesting. Like I love those little like quirky behind the scenes things.
It's almost like the opposite of Hocus Pocus, where they
dubbed Thackeray
with someone a little bit more of an accent.
Right. All right. So I think that wraps it up for my fact snacks for Lost in Space. Do you have any other thoughts?
No, I do think it's funny that the original took place in 1987 and like everyone thought that was so far from the future. Like surely we'll be just traveling through space. Like it's no big deal. And yeah.
Nope. 30 years from then.
There was a little bit of a leveling out of the technology curve there, but it's always funny when like we pass some of those dates, like 2001.
Definitely. All right. So I think now it is time to close the book on Lost in Space and move into what are we watching tonight?
Tonight we are watching Interstellar from 2014. It is rated PG-13. And so now let's hop into our time machine. Back to 2014, where the top three movies released that year were Guardians of the Galaxy, grossing $333 million. The Hunger Games, Mockingjay, grossing $323 million, so not too far behind that. And number 3 was Captain America, The Winter Soldier, grossing $259 million. Interstellar was all the way down at 15th, grossing $182 million, but that was mostly because it came out on November 7th, so it didn't have quite as much time to build up. But also, this was in the age where all the Marvel movies were really hitting their groove there and taking up a lot of the top spots there.
Yeah, I was surprised Interstellar wasn't higher up, but I didn't look at the release date, so I'd be interested to see where it falls in the 2015, because I remember like everybody talking about it.
Yeah, and I think it was just the Marvel movies also target like a PG crowd more than a PG-13, and this is also a long movie, which we will get to in just a little bit. The top 3 songs released in 2014 were Happy by Pharrell Williams, Dark Horse by Katy Perry featuring Juicy J, and All of Me by John Legend.
All great songs.
It's a lot nicer when they're more modern artists that I don't have to be afraid of mispronouncing.
Right. Yeah. Oh, Dark Horse was really, I loved that song. I mean, I still do. And I did enjoy all those songs. Plus also Happy was just like took over the world for a while. Obviously it was number 1, but yeah, those are great songs.
Yeah. All 3 of those songs, I feel like I couldn't pinpoint what year they came out, or relatively when they came out. They just seemed like they were just suddenly just everywhere. And I feel like they've been around forever.
Yeah. I don't know. I have very specific memories to specific periods in time for Happy and Dark Horse, especially like my first year of teaching was in 2014, and Happy like was a very easy family friendly song to play for children. So I know we did that a lot. And I have memories of driving in my car that same time period. Lots of scream singing Dark Horse.
All over the radio. So back to Interstellar. Have you seen it before?
I have not. Have you seen it before?
I have seen it a long time ago, probably not too long after it came out. I think I've seen it.
Did you see it in theaters?
No. I've seen it at least once all the way through, and I've seen bits and pieces of it just, when it was on TV, and just like, it's a very long movie, not one you're just going to generally sit down and just watch through. Full disclosure, we'll be watching this movie over a couple nights. If not 2 nights, maybe 3 nights. Like we said, we're really busy, and committing to a 2-hour and 49-minute long movie is just not in the cards for us. What do you...
Oh, just one more thing. Like we've talked a lot about in this series or this season about Armageddon, and what was the movie that came out that same year? That was like almost really similar. Deep Impact. Didn't Gravity come out around the same time too?
I think so, yeah.
So I think like I know you were getting ready to ask me what I know about this movie, and I'm not really sure because I haven't seen either Gravity or Interstellar. So and they're kind of the same in my head. There were a bunch
of good space movies. They all came out in this like 3-4 year span.
Mm-hmm. So I honestly don't really know anything about Interstellar just because I think I'm confusing it with Gravity. Mm-hmm. Gravity was Sandra Bullock, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's like no one talks. There's like really quiet for most of the movie.
You have seen that one, right?
No.
Okay.
You don't have to tell me.
Yeah. Anyways, what do you know about Interstellar? And give me a prediction.
So like I said, I don't really know, or I can't like pinpoint anything because I think everything I'm thinking of for Interstellar I'm pinning to is actually from Gravity. I assume it's going to be another like we're in space, but also kind of more like we've talked about with
it's a bold take there.
Give me I'm getting there. With For All Mankind, where like little speck of dust ruins everything, or like one little thing goes really wrong, and then they'll like race to get back to Earth, and people probably won't have their helmets on, and you'll be really mad about it because something's going to go wrong. I think this is going to be a lot more based in reality, not less sci-fi, more actual space.
Less like fantasy or things like that. Yeah,
like actual like events that could happen. I don't think it's based on a true story. Astronauts, they're going to do some big mission in space. It's going to be a big deal. Something very minuscule will go wrong, and then it's going to be a whole race to can we save everybody.
All right, we'll find out if you're right in the after show.
We've already said you've seen it. Okay,
yes,
sorry,
I have seen it.
Yes. All right,
so we'll catch you guys after the movie.
Cheers. Cheers. Interstellar.
Welcome back.
It's not the
As
wine.
we get some dead air and both drink more wine at the same time. All right.
No, I just smelled it in anticipation that it is not the. It's the
what we're drinking
wine.
right now is the black box. It is not this.
Is fine by all accounts, but let's get into the wine scale so we can talk about the wine before we talk about the
movie. Wine scale is a 0 to 10 scale. However, all of the wine that we drink on this show is very good. So, low score does not necessarily mean that it is not a good wine because the wine scale is heavily weighted. That being said, I give this wine a 7.4.
Oh, me too.
Oh, did you? You were just gonna say that.
I was willing it into your soul, and this is true confession. This is our second glass of the black box because we did this movie over 2 nights, blah, blah, blah. And I locked in. I wish I'd written it down so I could fully prove it to you, but I locked in 7.4.
I locked in 7.4 like about an hour ago.
Yeah. Same.
When we were finishing, I was like,
7.4.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. I think this is the first time we've ever been in complete agreement on the wine. We've maybe had one movie, but.
So the Tobin James King Reserve Petite Verdot 2019.
So good.
That's a good recommend. It's 7.
I was about to say 10 out of 10, but then I realized that it's a 7.
It's 7.4 out of 10.
But
if you will.
It was, just so flavorful, like really like not very alcohol forward, really just like spice flavors.
A decent amount of complexity.
And just very solid. Yeah. Excellent.
Would buy again. Now, moving into our movie rating out of 10, I'll make you go first.
I know you're going to make me go first. Okay. So I just moved it down a little bit. I'm going to say 5.8.
6.2.
Okay, I was
not too far off.
Okay, I had it at 6.1 until I started talking because then I started thinking about your rubric and I was like rewatchability. It is interesting. Maybe at some point I would like to see it again, but it is very long. It is very complex. It's not something I'm going to be like, let's watch this 8,000 times. Quotability for me, I didn't pick any quotes out of this that I'm really going to say a lot. I also don't think it had like a full moment of it being a singular movie that was really culturally relevant. It's not to say it is a bad movie. I do think it was a pretty good movie. I wouldn't say it's the greatest movie I've ever seen, but it's pretty good. Great cast. I think the acting was great. Like the way they cast the roles of all the people, I thought was pretty well done. But I just think because of those factors and your rubric that I couldn't give it a full 6, but I was at 6.1 until I started to give my score.
Yeah, I most of the score comes from just it being a good movie. The cultural significance comes from everyone just like talking like, have you seen Interstellar? Or are you doing Space Season? Are you going to do Interstellar? As opposed to, I mean, it's a newer movie, so it influencing other movies. It's, you know, it's a decade old at this point. So again, it's not terribly new, but it still is kind of newer, the space thing. So I don't see it as being influencing that. I did see some like kind of references or influences from other movies we've covered in either this space or sci-fi season, which we'll get to later. Most of it comes from the just overall good movie in that, as opposed to the quotability or rewatchability.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said,
besides
I had
the memeability of Matthew McConaughey yelling Murph and like him kind of with all the just I don't know, emotion, whatever. There's a gif of that. So
I'm certain I will see it going forward, but I can't say I've paid super close attention to it before this. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I did have it at above a 6 until I started really thinking about the actual rubric. So I bumped it back a little bit, but I thought it was a good movie for sure. You ready to jump into the movie description?
Yeah, I'm gonna try. It's a long movie. So
give us a full synopsis.
In either a future or alternate universe, Earth is kind of like dying to an extent, and in order to save humanity, NASA sends forth a group of astronauts to go through a black hole wormhole in order to find suitable planets to continue the human race, including in that is our main character who tries to investigate the research of a couple scientists who were sent forward to find a habitable planet and communicate that back to Earth in order to save the human race.
I could not have gone into that much detail if I were coming up with it off the top of my head.
Yeah,
so
better than
well
I thought
done.
it was going to go.
You were pretty fussy with me a minute ago that I had to read it off, but you did pretty good.
Extreme focus.
Good job. All right, so now I will read the description according to the TV is the adventures of a group of explorers who make use of a newly discovered wormhole to surpass the limitations on human space travel and conquer the vast distances involved in an interstellar voyage. That is horribly bland. I hate it.
That was terrible.
Easily one of the worst ones.
That just missed on the gist. That's someone who did not actually watch the movie, looked at the cover and just winged it.
And no one wanted to give adjectives for Matthew McConaughey. Come on.
At least go with like intrepid.
Right? I mean, I don't know. That was a lost opportunity there. I'm disappointed. That's usually one of my favorite parts. Even though I say I hate it, I do usually love it, and that was disappointing.
And they could have at least like kind of misled us with like some sort of like, you know, love interest and made that a key point of the description, even though it was not really a key point of the movie. Would have been interesting. But instead, they just kind of mailed that one in.
Glossed right over everything and mailed it in, that's for sure.
So moving into the next question is, was the movie what you expected?
I will go ahead and just refer to my fourth note, which said, I was very wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, do I think it was more grounded in reality than some of the sci-fi space movies we've seen?
More so than Spaceballs.
Absolutely.
I'll give you that.
Like there was a lot more base in reality for sure. But no, it was not at all what I expected.
Yeah, there were some like
they went to space.
Beings
sure, that was it. But all the, I don't know, robots, other planets, wormholes,
5-dimensional library.
Yeah, Matt Damon.
Yeah,
not what I expected.
You were a little off. Honestly, when you started out and you were like, yeah, it's kind of more grounded in reality. I'm thinking to myself like, yeah, okay, there's the whole like, you know, planet dying, them going to find a new world, whatever. And then I get to the thought process of like, yeah, but how do we explain the library scene? So
I'll get there. I'm going to save most of my thoughts in these after question notes for my notes because I have a lot to say.
So for now, we'll go into the next question of how well did it age?
Fine.
Pretty well. Looks like it was made yesterday.
Graphics were good. Acting was great. Nothing politically incorrect, crazy, off the charts that would make it really cringy. I thought it was fine.
No issue there. Could it be made today? Honestly, probably same cast too.
I know. I had to look up how old Matthew McConaughey was in this movie because I just was like, I don't really know how old he is.
I just remember this being like in my mind thinking like, oh, he's kind of like far into his career at this point, and he looked very young for most of it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. He was. I mean, I did not. He was, I think, like 44, 45 in the movie, and honestly, kind of still looks like that today. He's starting to age a little bit, but like he still looks pretty good.
He looks all right, all right, all right.
Barked myself right into that hole.
Did they say, speaking of that, no, just kidding. Did they say the title of the movie in the movie?
Yes.
Yes, there was at one point where I was like,
I was going to say, I only noted it because I remember you saying something like, oh, there it is.
Use it obviously like in the middle of a sentence of like interstellar travel. But.
Okay. I said I was going to save my notes, but I'm going to bring up one of my notes where it was like, they said the word gravity 8,000 times. And I was like, are we actually watching the movie Gravity? Like
plot twist.
I
tricked
mean,
you.
What did I say? I have written down, are you sure we're not watching Gravity? Because I was like, I mean, we keep talking about it. They really wanted this to be Sandy Bullock's movie.
I would love to find out in our next week's Facts and Acts that like Christopher Nolan was planning to name the movie Gravity, and then it got sniped.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be amazing? That would be so funny.
This congeniality, the off the top rope. Does the title fit the movie?
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know what you would otherwise call it.
Wormhole.
Space Odyssey. I don't know.
They don't ever give like an actual year setting.
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Probably they were like, we're catching up to a lot of these dates we're using in these sci-fi space movies and it's not panning out. So maybe we just leave it ambiguous.
3000 Space Odyssey. Yeah, I can't really think of a good other alternate title.
You're usually better at this. I leave that job to you because I'm not that creative.
Besides Gravity, of course. Does the rating fit the movie? So it was PG-13.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, the modern movies generally are pretty spot on.
Yeah, I don't think should be PG. Like I definitely think it's more of it's like really complex topics just intellectually that it'd be hard to take a lot if you're much younger than that. And it's not like anything like racy or promiscuous happened or drugs or anything out of control.
There was something towards the beginning that I was like, I feel like it's kind of somewhat ages it a little bit, but I can't remember what it was. It was like in the first like couple minutes, but that was years ago in my life.
AKA last night.
Could you make the case for this movie being a Christmas movie?
No.
Yeah, there was really nothing in this one.
No.
Unlike a surprising amount of movies, we're going to be adding this one to the culture questionnaire going forward.
I wish I had just like a counter in my lifetime of the number of times he's been like, oh, it's a Christmas movie for the like 4 seconds of a Christmas scene that they show in any movie we've ever watched.
That's why the question is, could you make the case that this one is? I don't
this
think
one,
you could.
no.
Unless this one happened to have been released on Christmas Day, which it was released in November. So no, not a Christmas movie.
No.
Were there any actors that went on to do bigger things?
I mean, I guess Timothée Chalamet.
I think Timothée Chalamet.
I forgot he was in it for a second. Yeah. That was so yesterday, in the words of Hilary Duff. The girl also looks really familiar, but I don't know who she is, and I didn't look up who she was.
Yeah, she showed up in the thumbnails. I don't know who she was, but she showed up looking older in her headshot in the thumbnail and the post-movie thing. So maybe.
I mean, I think most of the rest of the cast was pretty well established.
Topher Grace had done big things previously.
Has anyone in the cast done big things? I think like
now
everybody.
Topher Grace is like a big cameo guy.
That's true. He hasn't really done much like
headlining
headline like the That 70s Show. All right. She was in Twilight.
That's it.
The Nutcracker, but we haven't seen that. Nothing sticking out to me that, I mean, I've never seen Twilight, so I can't speak to that.
Someone
The Conjuring.
Say it's a big thing. Like the OG Conjuring?
In February 2012, she joined the cast of The Conjuring.
That sounds right. Was she like one of the creepy girls?
Probably. I mean, she's got some creepy girl energy in the best way.
Yes. If she didn't, then maybe missed opportunity.
Nothing really large sticks out to me that I feel like I would know her from.
Interesting. But obviously didn't go on to do bigger things, but the Matt Damon reveal midway through. So
shocking.
He was kept out of a lot of the promotional material to be like kind of a surprise.
I love when they do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, we don't need to know all the secrets.
Because he's not in much. He's in like maybe 20 minutes or less of this movie. And of those 20 minutes, he's in like maybe 4 minutes of screen time. It's not a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, is he even in 20 minutes? But Yeah, probably 4 minutes.
And then he obviously was in The Martian, which came out, I think, the next year.
Which, spoiler alert, coming next week.
So I've not looked into anything beyond that. We'll cover that in Facts Next, I guess, next week, about like why he was in it and why it was a secret and how that came to be. But it was supposed to be kind of like a secret and a big reveal. It was kind of a surprise there.
I do love that. I loved that. I had no idea.
I remember that he was in it. I forgot that he was physically in it, and I thought that he was the voice of TARS.
Anyways, I don't really think, besides Timothée Chalamet, who has obviously just shot up to the top, he's probably the big one who's done bigger things
since then. What impact do you think the movie had on pop? Or were you gonna?
I know, I was just saying it as you said it, so you can just. I'm saying impact.
What impact do you think the movie had on pop culture?
I mean, there was definite hype around it. I do remember the conversation about it. And I think also kind of similarly, I don't know when Gravity came out, but I mean, like there was like all these space movies, blah, 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 blah.
And I feel like Christopher Nolan, I mean, kind of still is big to this day, but it was kind of like, oh, have you seen the new Christopher Nolan movie? It's like really long, really good.
Can that man just start directing miniseries? Like, let's.
And I feel like the way his movies are cut, you could make his movies like 9 hours long. It's very like aggressive pacing through most of them.
I mean, honestly, even the way we watched it in an hour and a half last night and an hour and a half tonight, it was like, oh, like in last week's episode, which is what it felt like when I sat down. And then I was like, oh no, it was just a movie.
Yeah. Most of his movies have like such pacing where it's like the next scene cuts to like the middle of a conversation almost, or like the middle of like, an argument, or there's always just constant building of tension throughout I think most of his movies. And
just like how much they left out of like the amount of time they were in that one planet with all the water. And just like, I feel like there, like you said, there is a lot more they could have kept in there that, I don't know, buddy, maybe get into some miniseries. It could have been a very good miniseries and stretched out because it was already a long movie, but I think they could have made it kind of had odd pacing, I think, through some of it. Do you feel culture after watching it? Sure. Yeah, I mean, now when people say, I think it's still prevalent enough in today's society that like people are still watching it. AKA my cousin just watched it and was like, please watch this and analyze it for me. We're doing it. That like, it's like people are still talking about it. I also feel like, I mean, Matthew McConaughey is still like a superstar. Anne Hathaway is still a big deal. There are more people that I could keep going on. Like it's something you're like, you need to see it to be a part of the culture, especially if you're interested in space. It was pretty good. Yeah. I think it would have been missing something if we hadn't included it. Definitely. So now on to notes. I'll let you go first. All right. So my first note is, what year is it? Because they're talking about the Dust Bowl, or what I assumed was the Dust Bowl, and all of this stuff, and then showing all these old people. And I loved the beginning because you didn't know whether it was based on like actual past, present, future, or whatever. And I think my instant thought was Dust Bowl because I just read a book where a section of it was about the actual Dust Bowl in these rural farming towns, like literally 4 or 5 days ago. I just finished it. So, I mean, I'm hearing these same stories and I'm like, oh, like, cool. I just read something about this. Like I'll be knowledgeable. And it almost starts out like it's a documentary too. Yep. And it had Band of Brothers energy. And then all of a sudden he wipes the dust off of a laptop. And I was like, everything is different and not what I thought. So that was just my first thing to just like totally throw me off. I'm also just going to take a quick second for my next note to talk about how he's just driving around with an open cup of coffee, which I've been known to do and may have done today, so, which is fine. But the fact that he's driving through these cornfields and all this stuff, and then they cut to him at the school still holding a cup of coffee. And I'm like, bro, that coffee is gone. If you were in the roof, it's all over the side of the car. It is on your pants. Like you were recklessly driving, or your son took over the car. Like there's no way that cup of coffee is still standing. Driving through cornfields with a flat tire and like slamming on the brakes. Yep. Yeah. RIP coffee. I mean, it's quite a loss, but I just was upset about it. And I even thought about it. I did drive with an open cup of coffee today. I was thinking about that. I'm like, please don't make me drive any cornfields. Can I go off-roading with this? Okay. So my next note is that Matthew McConaughey has, I feel like, almost become a caricature of himself. I mean, just the, all right, and his like Southern draw and everything. And I feel like he like kind of plays into that caricature a lot, but he's actually a very good actor. And like, I don't think he was playing as much into that in this movie. And I was really because I mean, at first I was like, oh, like we're gonna have to watch him for 3 hours just because I feel like it's become really annoying. But I thought he was fantastic
in the first like 15, 20 minutes. He was almost to the point where he was a complete like character of himself, where it's like, are we looking at the stars or are stars looking at us? Like it was so much like, he has Matthew McConaughey, like, you know, commercial, what was it? The Lincoln commercial, like. But I wasn't even,
you said that last night and I wasn't even thinking that yet. I do see what you're getting at. But I mean, overall, I was like, I'm kind of enjoying this more than I thought I was going to. I've given him some props.
He is good, but he's also become kind of a meme of himself where it blurs lines of, is he acting or is he being himself?
And that's why I made this note, because I do feel like
he does that a lot less throughout the rest of the movie.
Overall, like it was way better than I was anticipating it being. This just like, especially because it was set like in a rural farm. I was like, oh Lord, here we go. Matthew McConaughey just putting on his cowboy boots, but I thought if you put
McConaughey in his cowboy boots, sitting on a farm with a beer in his hand, he's not going to be able to help himself just about that. Even if it's in the script or not, it's going through.
I know.
I did, before you go too much, well, I'll let you go one more, then I'll see if I just wanted to go past when I was going to bring one up because I don't have a note for it, but I was going to mention it.
Okay. So my next note is I was very wrong. Obviously, we start getting a little more sci-fi, less scientific space nonsense. And then my next note is the daughter. Honestly, the first second I saw her, I was like, oh my gosh, is Anne Hathaway his daughter? Because I thought she, just like the way she carried herself, had some real like Princess Diary energy of that like quirky, odd Anne Hathaway that, I mean, I spent the first like 20, 30 minutes of the movie being like, oh my gosh, like there's some like future. And then like, cause once I realized that time was kind of ambiguous in the movie, I was like, oh my God, like Anne Hathaway is definitely his daughter. And then the second she showed up, I was like, well, there goes that theory. But I was like super convinced because I really thought, although she did end up also being a really good cast to be the younger version of, I don't know who plays the adult version of her.
Jessica Chastain.
Yes. There's a lot of Murphs. Yeah. It's hard to tell. I do think they were really well cast as younger and older versions of themselves. But my first thought was just like, oh my gosh, she's Anne Hathaway. And that's like totally, and I was super bought into it until the reveal of her.
Sorry. Back to the earlier points of the movie, the scene where they're at the school and they're talking about the son going to college. And I thought it was interesting thinking back now about Matthew McConaughey being like makes the joke like, what, you know, how do you measure your pants with like two numbers, but you're gonna like distill my son down to just one number, and they like binary, like the numbers whatever come out to be like what actually saves you know, humanity. Really, it's like, oh, it just comes down to like just a couple numbers there and just
actions. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know how deep of a thought that is, but I thought it was interesting thinking back at this point.
I'll give you that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm shocked I didn't have more to say about the teacher conference because obviously been there, done that. But
you got to block that one out.
I think I was just kind of like, I just can't give emotional energy to this. I don't have that soapbox today. Okay. So still staying on the same note with the daughter, and they obviously have a strong connection. Obviously, if you see the rest of the movie, and she sneaks into the car and they're going to this unknown place and he's like, you can't come with me, blah, 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 blah. And then he gets there and he's like, where's my daughter? And he's like really angry. And then all of a sudden it's like, we're NASA. And then he's just like unconcerned that she's not standing right next to him. And I'm like, no, even like, you're still figuring out what's going on in this secret underground situation. Like the fact that you just quickly brush her off, I don't know, seemed...
These people just tased you a little while ago.
Right? And I don't have a note about it, but I don't know. Anne Hathaway, when she comes in, you mean like hate her instantly. Also, I am known to not love adult Anne Hathaway at all. I was going
to say, I think you don't like her.
I think it's the short hair. Like she can definitely pull off a short haircut better than a lot of people. But I don't know. I just don't like adult Anne Hathaway. I love her in Princess Diaries. Movie to my very core.
Very weird stance to have.
But I don't know. I think it all originated out of Les Mis, which I have not seen, but something about her.
The stance even stranger.
It's something. It's like starting when that movie came out. I was like, I'm over this nonsense.
He said, I'm going to get my shovel. I'm going to build a hill, and I'm going to die on this one.
Yep. Like my shovel is planted at the top of that hill.
Like Anne Hathaway's with short hair.
And she comes in all aggressive and like know it all, and like you learn to like her a little bit in the movie, but. Anyways, I will move on. I'm staying on top of my hill, but I'm going to move on. So my next note is Are you sure we're not watching Gravity? Okay, and then my next note is WTF is TARS, a robot Christmas present? Like, what it's this like box thing that like, I don't know.
The
like,
movement of it was very weird.
I mean,
it's really cool on the water planet where he becomes like this wheel.
And he's able to catch her. Like, it does end up developing into something really interesting. But I mean, when you first see it, you're like, what is this?
I guess they were like, hey, we're at the future. We've got humanoid robots, but like humans aren't the most efficient method of like moving. So we're going to have like this like weird cassette tape.
Giant
moves.
Rectangle is going to be like, I don't know. I just would think like futuristic. I think of more like slim and condensed and small. And it's just this giant box.
Big old box.
I mean, obviously you do grow to love TARS and Case and whatever all the other ones are, but
just hoping the R in TARS stands for rectangle.
Okay, sure. But then also I didn't actually write a note about, my next note, we're going to circle back to the robots in a second. My next note is, again, Matt Damon, WTF. I mean, shocked, not prepared for it. But also like WTF Matt Damon coming in here just like sniping the whole mission and just like being the worst.
It is a really cool reveal how he's like, it's such a long build up to like, who's this person talking about him for a while, that he's like in this cryo sleep, and then they like finally unzip it and you still like, don't really see.
Thank you. Also those cryo sleep, like you're just like literally drowning yourself. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's science to that whole sleep.
If someone told me I could sleep for a couple of years, man, I would take that.
I mean, I'm not against it, but I would need to know that a lot of people have tried it first before I lay down in this tube of water where they zip me up and I can't get out myself. I don't know. But anyways, back to Matt Damon. The second he was like Kip or whatever his boxy cassette tape robot was named, the way that he was talking about how he like was decommissioned or he took him offline to save battery, and
kind of sketchy about him.
Yeah, there was a lot of like, okay, well, obviously something is weird here, and even like it was TARS that was with him, right?
With who?
TARS was with them in the spaceship. Case was the other. There was a lot of robots.
Yeah.
Keeping their names straight didn't stick with me, but I don't know. Just like the second that whole scene started, I was like, well, there's some shady stuff going on here. I mean, not that I assumed he was going to be as deceitful as he ended up being, but definitely the way he was talking about the robot, I was like, I don't know, this doesn't sit.
I like remembered some weird sketch answer material, and I honestly thought that it was what's his face who died on the water planet. I was like, something seemed off about him, and I couldn't really put my finger on it. But then,
that guy.
Then when he died, I was like, okay, I think it's Matthew McConaughey. He's the sketchy one.
The guy that dies on the water planet.
Yeah,
I can't remember what his name is, but he, whatever his name is, he almost like reminded me of someone that would be in Hunger Games. And I haven't done any research, but I
could see it.
I'll report back in Fact Snacks next week if he is actually in Hunger Games, because there's something about him where just like has that like futuristic energy, but like also like kind of shady. There's a lot of shady people in Hunger Games. So anyways, moving on to my next note. Matthew McConaughey doesn't need a helmet when trying to dock that airlock. His helmet is cracked. He's in the ship. They're trying to like dock up, but you look up and it's like open. And I'm like, can you not breathe? Like, and I don't know if that was just like a different part of the ship, but it just
changed helmets before they docked.
He wasn't wearing a helmet when they docked. Oh. And I mean, as someone who's been really concerned,
once they go into the ship, he's wearing a clean helmet, I guess.
When they like relaunch or whatever, he's wearing a helmet. Gotcha. But when he gets back on the ship and they're like chasing down Matt Damon, who then explodes the airlock because he's the worst. Spoiler alert. He's still not wearing a helmet in that whole scene. And also my first thought was like, again, because you've influenced me, I'm like, well, why didn't you get a new helmet? There's got to be backups on the ship. And then
first rule of space, never take off your helmet.
Right. And then he's not wearing a helmet, and there's just like, seems like there's open space. There was kind of like some fluid rules about where you could breathe and where you couldn't breathe. I don't know. I didn't trust it. I was holding my breath through the whole movie, but anyways, I thought that just didn't sit right with me. All right. And then I've got two more notes. My second to last one is the second they saw that like he's falling down into an actual planet, or what felt like a planet, and then you realize it's all the bookshelves. Stupid. That's when I was like, all right, over this.
Checking
like
out.
This is now where like you had me where he was gonna like dock, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like one of the main characters is actually gonna die, like kind of realistic of these like really extreme space situations. And then he's like the one pushing the books off the shelf. I mean, okay, I get it. Connections all the way around, full circle, but stupid.
After that, I was more annoyed after the fact that he didn't like die after that. They were like, oh, he's going to be hanging out here, and you can see lights in the distance. You're like, oh, he's going to be saved now. Just seemed kind of dumb.
I mean, I think he should have died first, and then he did all the books, and then he still didn't die. I don't know. Stupid.
And then he's like, you should go out and see, what's her face?
Brand.
You should go see Brand. It's like, well, why didn't any of you go see her?
Right.
You've been here. There's black holes. You're obviously by the black hole. You could have gone too at some point, maybe. I don't know. And
like, we already spent 2 hours and 49 minutes watching this movie. We're not going to see them be reunited.
Right.
Like, you saw all that other stupid stuff I watched. Like,
at least show him like landing. They don't have to talk, but just kind of like.
And her, just like her sigh of relief. I don't know. Just give me something more than just her being alone on this planet.
Her pulling out a gun, something cool. I don't know. Different.
Yeah, I don't know. That made me fussy. And then the last thing also made me fussy. He leaves his child to save the planet, right? Like, that's the whole reason. He's like, they're calling on me. They need me. I'm going to go save the planet. So he goes out there. He does all his stuff. He communicates with her with books in whatever weird dimension that was. And then she's like 100 years old, and he gets back to her. And she's like, don't watch me die. There's no, like,
okay, bye.
I'm sorry. I just, like, went on a literal trip around the universe to try to save your life. And not that he needs to save her life. She's old. She's lived a life. But if you think, as a mother, if I went through all that stuff and I wasn't going to spend every last second I could with my kid,
right? It's like, at least
absolutely not.
Fill me in maybe on the last 100 years.
Yeah. I don't know. Introduce me to my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. I don't know how many people are here, but like, let's have some introductions. Because I was like, oh, like there's people, there's going to be introductions. It's going to be so sweet. Blah, blah. And then she's like, go. And I'm like, don't go. Made me mad. I think it's my mom instinct where it's just like, no.
He like walks in, everyone's just like, oh, here's this random dude. It's like, no, like, it would then be so crazy to like meet your like great grandfather at that young age, like years later.
Right?
Be
I mean, he was 44 when he filmed the movie. Like, yeah, I want to meet 40-year-old grandpa. Absolutely.
Be amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. That was the sour note at the end of the movie where I was just like, okay. I mean, I thought the acting was great. I thought the movie was really good until the last like 15 minutes where I was just like, okay, we got really weird and funky, and I'm not as much into it. But that's not saying I won't ever watch it again, but it's going to be a while. All right, that's my notes. Your turn.
Well, first note, though, actually I didn't have a note for it, but I was thinking about it just while you were talking was, can we just give a quick shout out to the soundtrack?
I noticed, like, when I was like I would be in my head about like, oh my gosh, like something's probably gonna happen. Then I'd be like, oh no, it's because they're building me up to something. Like the soundtrack fit your emotions every time. It
was just so well orchestrated to give you that like the right amount of tension. I'm thinking of like this scene where they're trying to like rotate and dock, and like it just was so great. I also love the use of silence when they're in space for like certain key moments to be just see the little like psh of the whatever boosters, and you see no sound. Like that to me is always just kind of like whenever there's no sound and you see that, you're like, oh, okay, shit's pretty real right now. At some point something's gonna go really wrong, and we're not gonna hear it, and we're gonna feel it, we're gonna see it, but like they're not gonna know it. Like,
the sound production department on this movie did an excellent job.
Very well done. Okay, so I will start with my notes now. First one's reading out Timothée Chalamet, Topher Grace, already covered that. Next note was there is a crop shortage, right? And he's driving, and he decides, I'm going to drive straight across this cornfield. But you've only got like 100 years left, and you're going to drive across 80 of them right now. You're just going to straight across the cornfield.
Yeah. How much food is that going to provide for people, your family, whoever?
Because you want to like look at this weird little like rocket plane that's flying around.
Also, I feel like what was that? I feel like that was like, oh my gosh, that's a big deal, and then glazed right over it. Never came back to it.
He mentions it in when he's with NASA. He's like, oh yeah, it's some like thing is anomalous.
It's from India, right?
Right. And it was like a truck, I guess, circulating the globe, and had like a really nice battery in it that could last for like decades or something. And there was an anomaly that was causing issues, and so that was the whole bookshelf thing was causing weird anomalies for him, like hitting it, magnetic craziness. That's why all the tractors all of a sudden started coming in. So it messed with like a GPS and everything from that. But it was still really weird where he's like, oh,
not really explained well.
Straight across my crops.
Right.
No more okra in the world, but I'm going to drive across all the corn.
I mean, I thought aliens were going to start coming in then, or like attack, global panic. I don't know.
Just very weird. My next note was that the whole beginning felt like the intro and kind of like the beginning of the movie Signs. We've got this weird tension. You're like a farm area, space, probably aliens. Don't really know what's poltergeist things happening. Not really sure. It's like eerie.
I mean, I will say I've only seen Signs once, and that was when it came out however many years ago. So not super familiar with it, but I get that energy for sure.
It's a very good movie. Highly recommend it. Maybe watch it for culture night someday.
I'm sorry, you mentioned Topher Grace in your first note, and I just don't know that I fully expanded my thoughts on that. I would like to take one more second to talk about that. Or would you rather me save my Topher Grace thoughts for when he actually enters in the...
No, I don't think I really mentioned him. Oh, okay, I mentioned him later, but you can talk about him now.
I feel like it was almost distracting that he was such a like big name actor as someone our age who watched that 70s show. That then he like all of a sudden is like, come here. And so I'm like not even thinking about what's happening. I'm like, oh my God, Topher Grace is in this movie. And then all of a sudden she's like, Eureka throwing papers and they're making out. And it was like, and he's like outside, like, come on. And I just like almost feel like it would have rather been someone like less well known. Cause I felt like it was at that point, 2 hours and 20 minutes in the movie. I was kind of like,
Do you feel the same way about Matt Damon being in it randomly?
Honestly, a little bit.
I don't know. I kind of like a good cameo, and I feel like with Topher Grace, I associate him with just like loving science and space and nerdiness.
I mean, I love him, and it's not that I thought he was a bad actor or anything like that. I was personally distracted by it. I mean, and not that I was like a diehard That 70s Show fan. We have
I
seen
feel like
it,
he is like a real life Eric Foreman, that he just loves like actual Star Trek, Star Wars, space,
probably
all that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of found it a little bit distracting. And then all of a sudden he was like her love interest. And like, is he the dad of all those kids that were in that room with her at the very end? And like, I don't know. I just like, I would maybe in the mini series version of this movie, if that had been expanded on more, I would have been less. He's
not that big of a name. I don't see an issue with it. I think he's a great cameo level guy.
Yeah. I don't know. I just would have preferred it to be someone else, I think. Not that I just like him. I do very much love him. Just felt weird for me.
Anyways, moving on to my next note was the scene where Matthew McConaughey and John Lithgow are just having a beer on the porch. I'm like, wouldn't you just love to have a beer with John Lithgow?
Right, I was going to say, we haven't talked about him yet, but like, I don't know how we didn't mention him the people in this movie.
Underrated, one of my favorite actors. Just, right? He's very good at what he does.
There's something very comforting about him. Like, as much of an oddball as I think he is, there's something where you're just like, oh,
whenever I see him in a movie, I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Like, just, there's something about it.
Lord Farquaad.
And the idea of just sitting there having a beer with him on the porch just sounds amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not that porch with all the dust and stuff, but like, I'll take a beer with him.
Right time, right place. Next note was, has nobody found a better way for spaceships to dock?
Right.
Like they're in like, they're about to dock and they're like, okay, we got to quickly, narrowly get these things exactly right. And then couldn't you have some sort of like sloping thing to kind of like guide it in, or some better way to be like have a little more air, a little more play in that?
I don't know. NASA, are you hiring?
I think it's a lot of movies where there's kind of like, yeah, we're going to design this super complex space station, but also in order to dock, you're going to have to solve a Rubik's Cube.
He doesn't know the docking protocol.
Blindfolded and just with
limited visibility.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I will say,
there was some automatic docking thing they mentioned.
There was some point where they showed the docking and like they showed the like pieces latching on in last night's part of the movie that we watched. And I was like, oh, that's like really interesting. I don't know that I've ever really thought about it like clasping on like that. And then to find out in the rest of the movie how important that actual docking mechanism was. I was like, oh, somebody was really thinking.
Yeah. If it's not perfectly pressurized, apparently it can be a bad day. My next note was that it seems really necessary. I don't know if they fully clarified whether they were or not, but it seemed unnecessary to start up, the gravity when they get on the ship towards the beginning of the movie. It starts spinning and they're like, all right, now let's go into cryo sleep. It's like, well, why don't you just like have the spaceship go and then like maybe start the gravity spinning stuff when you're further into space? It's not just like wasting a bunch of energy up front.
Yeah, I can say I have no idea how any of that stuff works.
Maybe it's the point where it's like space, there's no friction. So it's like you start the spinning and it's just there forever until you don't need it anymore. But just kind of like a weird sequence of events, and that's sort of trying to clarify that they had gravity in the
I mean, I will say like
rotation.
All of the actual science of gravity and horizons, and that was just completely lost on me. I'm certain there are some people that appreciate all of those technical terms. I am not one of them.
I think the whole spinning thing for gravity's been around for a while. I don't know how accurate it is, or if like the actual space stations actually try that, but seemed like a weird.
I mean, I definitely sympathized with the guy who was like Dramamine, because I mean, just watching it, I was like, and even just like, I mean, I loved the attention to detail throughout the whole movie. Once they started the spaceship spinning, when they're filming, like the light is spinning on the actors' faces. Like they were like from a production standpoint, they were really paying attention to like, oh, we're supposed to be spinning. Like the sun is going to be in different places. But as a human that gets motion sickness, I was like, oh my God, I would be dying.
I do appreciate how, like, I know space is space, but I do like how a lot of this feels a lot like 2001: A Space Odyssey, and you can still see that like playing all the way through here.
Yeah, I see it.
Next note was Murph's message hits a lot harder when you have a daughter. Because like watching this when I was younger, like 10, 11 years ago when it came out, it's kind of like, oh, that's cool. Like, you know, didn't see his daughter like grow up, whatever, and like the message. And then when you actually have a daughter and you're like, fuck. Sorry, fairly friendly.
Can you refresh my memory of what her actual message? Just like stay.
Yeah, just like wanting to say, and then she sends the video message, whatever, about like you knew, and he's like seeing that like she grew up, and he like doesn't really like he didn't get to see it, and all those things. Then at the end when they reconnect, it just that hits a lot harder.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if I'm being reunited with you, even if you're old AF, I'm gonna just be like, mommy's here. We're not going anywhere. Yeah, definitely. I definitely.
And the part where she's like, you know, you said we maybe when we reunited that we'd be the same age, and like now would be like a good time because like we're the same age, like that whole thing. Like I just can see that like with our own daughters of being like, hey, you said this thing. I waited 40 years, so you got to follow through, right? Like, oh
yeah. Oh, I mean, we were watching it and I was like,
signed in blood.
100% is the energy of our child because, well, my dad said so, so I think you should be here. Yeah, I did resonate a lot with her appealing to her dad, and obviously I'm the mom, not the dad, but that like daughter aspect really.
It's funny to think of certain movies where like there's the trope of like, oh, the dad's busy with work and like misses the daughter's, you know, recital or game or something like that. In this one, it's like she's mad at him because she missed like her life because he was like in space trying to save humanity. It's like, oh, he just couldn't find time for her while he was like in a different galaxy through a wormhole away. Like to me, that's just kind of funny. I get it. Like it doesn't make
the most extreme of the dad trope. Him literally being in a different galaxy.
Yeah. Just was also really funny too. Next note was the Lazarus and U.S. flag at Matt Damon's whatever place. I feel like that would have been like faded and destroyed. It's like the wind is whipping and
yeah, all the like
he's been there for like years,
snow
apparently.
And ice and stuff.
Yeah, and he'd like already gone to cryo sleep several times. I feel like that like just in a couple weeks the flags would have just been shredded. It was kind of weird that those were still like intact there.
Yeah, I see that now for sure.
Next note was that it seemed really unnecessary to just punch a doctor when they were back at the farmhouse, whatever, and they're trying to convince the family to leave. And Casey Affleck just walked in and just punches Topher Grace.
I mean, like, if anything, punch your sister. I mean, like, don't hit a girl, whatever.
Like, don't punch anyone,
but, like,
maybe.
I mean, if you're going to hit somebody, like, your sister brought him there to assess your family behind your back. Like, if you're going to be mad at somebody, be mad at your sister. Don't, like, this dude is
like,
just is
man,
doing his,
too much dust and your family's breathing in it. It's not
oath
good for them.
of a doctor to try to care for your family.
Yeah.
But I will say it was really hard for me to, like, balance the idea of this whole, like, dust storm, which obviously, like, it's supposed to be, like, Earth is drying out and, like, not sustainable anymore. Sure. But, like, I just still mentally associate that whole, like, dust situation with the, like, 1930s. But then we're also in space and just, like, it was a lot to mentally bounce between. But, yeah, the second they started coughing, I was like, get out of there. I mean, even the first dust scene when Matthew McConaughey and like they were John Lithgow and whatever. I'm like, seal that house up, get some tape or something. I don't know. It's clearly in the future.
At least they had their N95, so we could see that in the
right.
It was weird trying to reconcile that Casey Affleck and Timothy Chalamet were playing the same character. It seemed when he grew up, he became very different, whereas Murph stayed mostly the same.
I do think it was good visual casting. Like I do think they actually looked very similar, but like you said, something about it just didn't. And maybe we didn't see the older version. I also feel bad. To be honest, I did not know Matthew McConaughey's character name until tonight. Like yesterday. I couldn't have told you.
Yeah, I feel bad. The son's name was
Tom.
Tom? Okay, Tom.
Because it was close to Tim. And I was like, oh my God, he has the same name. And I was like, no, it's not the same name, but it's really close. And that's the only reason I connected it, but I didn't even think about that tonight when we were watching it.
Yeah. I don't even think Casey Affleck had that many lines. He just kind of like looked angry
He just
and
kind
punched
of
people.
grunted.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not going to lie. Part of me last night wondered if like Murphy was their last name and they just called the daughter Murph. Because I don't know. It's just like
Murphy
there was
Cooper.
not a lot of like,
Interesting name.
I don't know, direct conversation. Yes. And Murphy Cooper, I also thought was an interesting name. Don't hate it, but.
Next note was that, and I mentioned this earlier, it got some Space Odyssey vibe, especially towards the end when it gets really trippy toward like the library scene. He like flies into space and with all the sparks flying through him first, it felt like towards the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey, where it just kind of gets all super LSD trippy.
Yes.
And then my last note was the Cooper. I thought it was I was trying to figure out the rhyme or reason. I noticed it towards the end. It seemed like the Cooper scenes were full screen and the Murph scenes where she's back on Earth were wide, but I saw some other scenes where just other parts of Earth were full screen versus wide. So I don't know the rhyme or reason why they went from full screen to widescreen in some of the shots where there were like black bars at the top.
Yes.
Maybe it was
I
just
mean, I
trying
know
to show
you
the
pointed out
past.
You pointed out to me after we finished the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you that I noticed it for a single second while we were watching it, but I will dive into it for facts next week.
Yeah, I noticed it too late to fully process when or why, but I noticed it was a thing.
I mean, Christopher Nolan, I'm certain it's probably something, but I'm going to definitely have to edit this before we watch next week because I feel like I've been like, I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, make some notes.
Yep. But anyways, do you have any other notes, thoughts?
Hope not, because we covered a whole lot, I think.
Yeah. Obviously there was a whole lot to cover, but I also feel like it's kind of something where I need to sleep on it a little bit and just like sit on it. I mean, definitely the science of it, I do not understand at all. I won't even pretend. Science, not my strong suit, but
yeah, I will say, so the library scene, I feel like was mostly just trying to demonstrate how we perceive like the three dimensions plus time being the fourth dimension. It's hard for us to conceptualize anything for that besides the fact that we like feel time moving. So it's kind of showing a way of like, hey, there's more like 3, 4, 5 dimensions that these beings, whatever the future, are experiencing. Here's a way to kind of conceptualize it in 3 dimensions where you're like moving through time in a dimension that we can understand, and trying to show like it's not just one direction, but you can kind of like it's all just a different dimension there. It is kind of hard.
That does make a little more sense than what my brain was processing.
Well, they explain it in the movie if you listen to that.
I don't, but it's also like it's Matthew McConaughey, so you have to like really be listening to what he's saying. But there's also the music and the motion, and it's a lot to take in. It gets trippy.
It's basically like these are like advanced, humans.
Yeah, I heard them say something about fifth dimension, like in the fifth dimension, like but we experience things in 3D, and like I know there was lots of talks about different dimensions. But
the humanity survived and whatever, and then we built this because we weren't ready to experience all these dimensions. Like it kind of touched on that. It's not super clear, but that's essentially what's kind of going on there.
Well, that does help. I am glad that I brought that up. So any other thoughts, comments?
Don't think so.
We will sleep on it and come back to you next week. So thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Culture Night. We really appreciate you all being here. If you enjoyed this podcast, if you are watching on YouTube, if you could like this video, and if you want to subscribe, you can watch all the rest of the space season. Hopefully we'll be a little more on top of getting the rest of the season out. And if you are just listening to us, if you could rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. If you have any thoughts, comments, suggestions, you can send us a message on Instagram at Culture Night Pod or comment on any of our reels that we share there. We also have an email address, culturenightpod@gmail.com. And
if you have any questions or comments, you can send
if there's anything we said wrong, or if you want to explain any of this stuff further to us, by all means, send us an email or a message on Instagram. And thank you again for being here, and we'll catch you next week.
Yep. Cheers.
Cheers.